So I just saw Higurashi, the original one from 2006 and not the new 2020 version. I've yet to see that one, and I have to say that I quite enjoyed it. I would say this is a must-watch show if you like horror, although it is quite long. You have to rack your brain quite a decent amount if you want to get into it, because yeah, this shit's kind of confusing. But before I give my thoughts on the show, I thought I should give a quick synopsis, so yeah, let's just do that really quick. So if you're somehow like me and aren't familiar with Higurashi, I at least wasn't when I found out about it, it is a story that technically follows Keiichi Maebara, a 14-year-old kid that moves in with his family into the quiet town of Hinamizawa in the Japanese countryside. While in Hinamizawa, he meets a few girls that he becomes friends with. The situation seems mainly normal until Keiichi discovers that there is a mystery in the town of Hinamizawa. A strange phenomenon known as Oyashiro's Curse plagues the town every year during its annual cotton drifting festival, taking 2 lives each year. This, combined with his friends acting very strange, is the reason that Keiichi sets out to discover the secrets of Hinamizawa and stop this curse from taking any further lives. If the synopsis is over, I guess this will be the time I share my thoughts about the show's first season, as that is the one that I watched as of making this video. So let's start with the negatives, as I believe there's much less to talk about there. My only negatives that I could give Higurashi would be that I feel that sometimes the characters act a bit unnaturally. At some point during the first arc, Keiichi finds a needle in food that his friends gave him, and tomorrow he approaches them barely acknowledging it, as it didn't bother him much. It kinda stood out. This is possible that it is just me misunderstanding something, so if I did, please do point it out. But other than that, the only other complaint that I had would be that the dub is a bit weaker. It wasn't terrible. I can say that the sub was probably better. I just have the attention span of a fucking goldfish, so I can't watch subs if I have the option to watch a dub. But other than that, yeah, those are about all the negatives that I can give Higurashi Season 1. In my opinion, the best parts about Higurashi are definitely the characters and the mystery. As I'm trying to spoil as little as possible, I will say that the overarching mystery of this show is really well executed. Every single arc gives a bunch of mysteries, but they're almost never solved in the arc itself, at least waiting until for the answers arc that happens a bit later. Without going too much into the detail, I will say that the overall mystery of the show is definitely one worth investing yourself in. And finally, the best part of this show is definitely the characters. All of them have at least something about them that makes me interested in them and knowing who they are. And ironically, the character that I ended up getting quite invested in was Keiichi himself, as I was quite surprised to learn that he was a lot more than just an anime main character. Some more standouts include Mion and Shion, and Detective Oishi is one of my personal favorites. Now, what are the positives? Well, just about everything else. I can't really point to one thing being the strongest thing that carries the show, as just about everything about it is really good. One thing that can be seen as an issue, I guess, is the art style, although I personally think it fits perfectly. I don't know how to describe it, but I think the more weird-looking art style adds more to a horror than a much cleaner-looking modern one, although this is mainly how I view it. The sound design in this show is also really good, especially in the horror moments. Whenever anything brutal happens in it, it feels very heavy and strong, and the use of the soundtrack adds a lot to the darker moments as well. The soundtrack itself, I would also say, is quite fitting, and it does give off a very eerie feeling, although I would say that the best use of it is the best aspect of the soundtrack is definitely how it's used. Overall, I had quite a lot of fun with Higurashi, and I'm quite glad that I decided to watch it. But after this video comes out, I will definitely get to watching the second season and give my thoughts on it as well, and then I guess I will also watch the 2020 remake. So with all this, I have to give Higurashi a sweet, thick 90%, as there was never a moment in the show that I had felt bored or uninterested. So I hope this video was an entertaining watch, and if by some miracle someone actually does watch this, you can tell me your opinions of the show in the comments. Anyways, that's it for me. See ya! So, just gonna say really quickly, at some point in the near future, I will be also making a longer video where I talk about the entire first season with spoilers. So yeah, I guess that one's interesting, so I can go into more detail about everything that I liked, as I felt kind of restricted with this format. So yeah, that's about it.